It's an historic day, a truly, truly historic day. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be entirely nonplussed by what's happened. But I think it is the ultimate victory for women, agency, power, and volition. The understanding that we are incomprehensibly powerful. We are power itself. We are the power of creativity. And ultimately, that will be what brings the world into right order. And, it has looked a little bit hopeless to this one for many years because I saw things coming long before they did. Reification of a notion that women are feeble, incapable, that we lack power, that fundamentally we lack volition and agency. I saw it springing up on social media. This is 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I was working with a Buddhist teacher at the time, and I said, I think something dangerous is happening. And I remember I didn't really know how to explain it. Other than it feels almost like a kind of McCarthyism or something. There's this way. I remember seeing all of these tribunals on Facebook that were trying people for sexual misconduct or for violation of really cultural codes more than actual codes. I was also alive during the time of the war on drugs, and and the war on drugs. Doesn't that sound so noble? Because what they say is, oh, drugs are killing people in low-income areas, we'll say. Oh, that's interesting, because when you have the war on drugs, the drugs continue killing people in those areas while all of those people go to prison. But nobody in these upper echelons are touched at all. How does that work? How does it work that what looks to be helpful, social justice to a group of people ends up being the weapon that's used against them? That's the question, right? And this is why I'm obsessed with simultaneity, about the idea that you can hold in your mind that crack harms people. You can hold that, and you can hold the understanding that something that's called a war on drugs will not necessarily end this and will harm the very people it's promising to help. You can hold those two beliefs. I spoke to the reporter, and I said to her, you can hold the belief concurrently that men should be accountable for any kind of harm to women, period. And women can develop a resilience and a strength in order to be conscious and aware so that the potential for harm is less. Those two things can happen in tandem. So the war of drugs, so then there's all of these people who are down here who's saying, wait a minute, this is a big propaganda thing. And actually, I think what might be happening is that the war might not be in order to protect these Black people. The war might be on these substances that liberate people and have it be that they have unmediated access to wealth, have unmediated access to consciousness, have unmediated access to Vajrapride, so that they become, in a sense, ungovernable by man, not ungovernable by law. I think that's important to understand. It's not like you become a punk rocker anarchist, although I like those too, but you don't become that, because now you become yoked to a deeper law. It's not lawless, it's yoked to a deeper law than artificial morality can create. When you go to the source being psychedelics, they heal the pathological expressions, because now people are going to Africa to do iboga, not only to get sober, but to fully wake up, right? Or they're doing mushrooms to curb addiction to alcohol and smoking. And what we're finding is, these unhealthy substances can be healed by the healthy substance that also, in a generalized way, has been outlawed. This is important to understand because it's going to speak to what we're doing, right? So then you go to sexual energies. Hatred of women and sexual energies is very deep-seated because If you unleash that, then you really unleash control in the world, the artificial control. And then a deeper order has to come into being. And there's a lot of inertia, a lot of stasis, a lot of ideas, a lot of positioning that will have to shift as a result. And everybody can feel that quake underneath us. And this is men and women, because, you know, if you have an entire system built on a false notion, and that false notion breaks up through the ground, then everyone changes as a result. Everyone and everything. Our idea about earth, our idea about justice, our idea about relationships, our idea about gender, every single idea founded on a wrong notion is going to have to shift. And so, you know, homeostasis is strong, inertia is strong, but not strong enough today. Not strong enough today, because we won today. Small fight, but we won. So I say all this to say, what I saw was the insidious disguise of sexism that had morphed into this sophisticated mutation that within it embedded, in the way a virus is embedded in something, reified the notion that women are fundamentally children, incapable, powerless, and helpless. Okay, so you have that fundamental notion embedded in a movement disguised as something positive. When you blame another, you foist responsibility. When you foist responsibility, you reify the notion of your incapacity. So the people got stuck here, the blandishments of propaganda, and didn't do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am fundamentally agreeing that I cannot be responsible for this. There was an attorney, Donna, and she would say, what we have to understand is that with equal rights comes equal responsibility, and women aren't willing to take equal responsibility. But if you say that in the same, it sounds like, no, those black people should smoke crack. That's how people hear it if they don't have simultaneous hearing. No, embedded in that argument is the most virulent form of sexism that rides in on the hatred of sex itself, because we only see sex at this time in our culture at the level of crack. We don't see it at the level of psychedelics. See, the level of psychedelics is where the original source, the original sexual energies in the right hands heal everything above it, all of the corruption that occurs above it. So when we see sexuality, what we see is unwanted pregnancy, STDs, violation, aggression, greed. We see all of these things. But if you go to the source, you put it in the right hands, it can absorb all of these things, transform them, heal them, and then use them creatively in order to subdue greed, hatred, and delusion. In the same way that we didn't know that the war on drugs was an insidious way to enslave black people or harm black people, we didn't know that the war on sex was an insidious way to enslave or continue the deep oppression of women. I am a woman who wants to see the end of all rape, of all sexual assault, of anything that endangers, of anything that endangers women in the least. And that's like the bare minimum of what I want. Sexual energies are power of the feminine plane. It's ours. And that's what happens when it ends up in the wrong hands. It's not that men are bad, women are good. It's that I am the one, as a woman, who knows how to tend to these unbelievably powerful forces that need incredible care, nurturance, strength, power, everything that a mother has. I'm the one who knows how to hold that power as a mother, not as a father who's, doing his thing. but somebody who understands the ramifications of this power. Then what you begin to discover is, wait a minute. All religion, all spirituality, all culture has been designed by men. Because I, as a woman, was never plugged into my power enough to see and actually insert, inject, demand, penetrate, know what my way was, so that a holistic culture could be created. And every woman has embedded in her cells, we were murdered for saying, no, actually I'm going to look inside. I'm going to use my own sexual healing energies to look inside. I'm going to discover who I am. And then, whoa, when I discover who I am, what I discover is, this is wrong. This isn't the way it should be. What ended up happening is we unplugged, turned off, blocked what should have been plugged in, turned on, and unleashed. And the world's waiting for the unleashing of what's within us.